everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way, and this week's project is a simple little landscape. I think you're going to really like this project. I'm going to show you how to fade these trees out into the background, and then we're going to put our focus on the foreground in the front. So it's really easy to do, but it's just really a fun, it's just another fun way to use your stamps. Okay, so here's what we're going to need. We're going to use the tree from the old barn set. If you don't have this one, you can use any of the trees that we have. So we're also going to use from the flower set 2, we're going to use this little accent flower here and the long stem. So both of those. From the foliage set 2, we're going to use this tiny, tiny little vine right here. From foliage set 1, so the original foliage set, we're going to use both grasses and the vine. And we're going to use this tiny little accent flower from the garden wagon set. So if you don't have this one, you can use the little tiny flowers from the original flower set. You just want to use a few, so just a tiny amount of those. Where we're going to put those is in the background, back in here. So this needs to be really, really small. We're also going to use a white gel pen. So this is the Uniball Signal. We have this available on our website. So we're going to put some detail in here with that white pigment pen. Really fun to do. Okay, so let's get going here. We're going to start out by stamping the tree. So we're going to stamp this in 2 colors. We want this background to be really light. It's almost a gray blue. So we're going to mix color a little bit. We don't want this to be too purple. So we're going to use the African Violet. And we're going to start out by inking the tree. You don't need to get all of these. I usually do one side and then I do the other. So let's start out with that. We're going to add now some gray to it. So this is the number 40 grayish brown. So we're just going to add some of this color to it. It's going to kind of tone down that, that purple a little bit. And then we're going to stamp it off. So we're going to stamp it off 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to get the majority of that color off, and then we're going to stamp it in the middle of our paper once and twice, so 2 times. And we're going to repeat that process again. So this time I'm going to kind of clean it off a little bit. This is how I clean it with my thumb. However, you can clean it however you want to. So this time I'm going to ink the other side. So I'm going to take some of this foliage from the tree, and I'm just going to ink that and the tree trunk, and then I'm adding the gray to it again. And I'm going to stamp it off. So I'm going to do the same thing again. So 1, 2, 3, and I want to get the majority of that color off. And so now I'm coming back in here, 1 and another one. So now I've got 4 trees kind of in the background, and you can see they're pretty light, and that's exactly what we want. We want those trees to be really light. The other thing is we want to see these definite lines here in the trunk. So don't drag the color outside of those lines. Really try to keep that inside the lines. This is kind of different than what we normally do. Normally we're trying to soften all the lines, and we don't want those harsh edges, but in this case we really, really do want that. This is kind of like seeing a silhouette in the background. It's kind of what we're going for, and so we want to see that definite line of the shape, but not so much of the detail. So I'm just dipping my brush and I'm dragging this out, and actually if you have a number 1, this is a really good time to use a number 1 brush, because you can get in here and get these tiny little branches and just add water to all of these. Just kind of blend this out. We're softening these lines, but we don't want to add too much water in here. I want to see the definite shape. You can also take your little brush and add some more in here. So if you feel confident to do that, you can add a few more of these little branches in. Okay, so that's about all we have to do back here. So now I'm going to switch back to my number 4 brush, and I'm going to add some water now to the foliage section. So this up in here, and I've got quite a bit of water on my brush. So remember, we're just fading this out. This is all going to be in the background. So we really, really want to make this light. So I've really got quite a bit of water on my brush too. I'm leaving some of this detail, but I don't want to leave it all. So some of these branches you can see are showing a little bit more than others. So just keep that in mind that we really want to make this subtle, and remember this is going in the background. So this is not our focus. We want to really push this into the back. Okay, so that looks pretty good. That's about all we have to do right here. So let's go on now and add our little foliage back in here. And we're going to do that with a tiny little foliage, this one. And we're going to use two colors on this too because we're also fading this back. And I'm going to use two greens. So I'm going to use, excuse me, not two greens, but a green and a blue. So this is the number 72 pine green. This is the number 86 African violet. And I'm going to tone that green down to almost a bluish green with this blue. So we're going to start with the blue. And we're going to ink this in the blue. And then we're going to add the green to it as well. And we're going to stamp this off too. So we're going to do this a couple of times. So 1, 2, and you can see how that's become kind of a bluish green. So we're going to do that again. So we're going to ink that in the blue and then in the green. And then we're going to stamp it off a couple of times. And we're just going to kind of repeat this process, and this is going to push these little vines back into the background. So again, the blue, let's do this one more time. And now the green. And I'm stamp that off only one time this time because I want to bring some of these forward. Okay, that looks pretty good. And you can see how that changes the color a lot. Don't be afraid to try this. Don't be afraid to mix colors, even on your stamp. It's really fun to do that. I'm going to try to do that more in the next videos coming up. And more of these landscape ideas because they look really hard, but they're not. And they're so fun to do because they're quick. And I think they're just great for any occasion. Okay, so let's move on from there. So we're going to add our grasses now into the background. We're going to do that with our tiny little grass. So this is the grass from the original foliage set. And we're just going to kind of walk this in front. So just do a couple of little patches here, kind of right in front of these trees. This is a cool green, so we're kind of continuing on with this like cool blue, kind of a grayish background. So I'm using this cool green, which is that number 72. Another one of my favorite colors. And remember, we're pulling this color up and out, and you can blend this in here. You can blend this together. Okay, so we've got our little background going on here. So let's start working on our foreground. And we're going to do that by putting in the grass, the large grass first. So we're going to use that same pine green. And we're going to just kind of bring this in like this. We're going to drop it down like this on both sides. And you can see what that does to the landscape. It just kind of makes a little hill. So we're kind of looking down on this little area in here. You can make this a little valley, so you can put whatever you want in here. In this project, we're going to make it a little pond, but up to you to change that however you'd like. It's fun to have different options, things that you can do. And these little stamps are so versatile. There's just a ton of different ways to use them. I love that about it. Okay, remember when we're doing the grasses, that color comes up and out, always up and out. And let's add the vine now. So this is the little vine. We're only going to use about 2/3 of it. So just probably like the C part of it. Remember, we're stamping this in here a bunch of times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put one more in over here. And you can see that we're framing our little picture now. And then add your water to it. So easy. And you know, the more that you watch these videos, the more you play with these stamps, the more that when you see these projects, you already recognize how to do it. Oh, that's the vine. I know how to stamp that. Oh, that's the grass. I know how to stamp that. So you get really good at these basic elements, and they're not intimidating at all. They're really fun. Okay, so now's when you could make this a little meadow. You could put wildflowers all throughout here, but let me show you how to make that a pond. So let's mix some color. So we're going to add our number 86. And let's just warm this up a little bit and add some of the number 17. steel blue. So let's dip the brush in water, and we're gonna just kind of create our own color here. But you can make this whatever color you want. So we're gonna make this light, and we're just gonna brush this in. Keep your hands straight when you're brushing in the water. Keep your hands straight, just like this. And it's okay to bring it over to the green. That's all right. Just kind of drag it over like that, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay, so let's let that dry just for a second. And I'm going to actually pull some of this color up into here. I think that's going to add even more dimension back here. I hope you can see this. This is so light, but it's just so fun. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to add our long stems now into the background. This is one of my favorites from the new flower set. I love this little guy. So I'm inking it in 2 colors. This is the olive green now. So I've kind of switched color now with the olive green. Remember, we're stamping it a bunch of times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's ink that again. And I'm just using a bright pink, so you can use the magenta, you can use the iris purple. You can use purple, you can use whatever color you want. That looks good. So now we just have to add our water to it, just like this. Pop that little pink out, so cute. And let's add our little flowers into the foreground now. So these are the little ones also from the new flower set. Love these little guys, like little daisies, but I kind of color them in every color of the rainbow, so they're just kind of generic flowers to me. They're so cute. 1, 2, 3. And let's do that again. So 2 colors. This is the olive green again. And maybe just 2 this time. Like that. Let's add our water to it. Just touch it. Doesn't take much. We're just softening those lines. You can see how that just pops that color out so much. Makes that so bright. Okay, so let's go on back here to the background, and we're going to take that tiny little flower, the one that's just the tiny little dots, and we're just going to ink the tops. So the very top layer, so just not very many. And we're still going to go in 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a few more over here. So I finished up the background. I added water to these little flowers in the background, and now I've added the little dots with my gel pen. So this is the white gel pen, and I'm putting some little daisies here into the background, and you can see how easy this is. Just add some detail back in the back. I've made some little white centers on these little flowers in the front, and let me just hold this up so that you can see all that detail. So it looks like we've got some little white daisies back here in the background, and we can see our little white centers. So cute. I've signed and dated. Be sure to do that on your projects and put this on a card or a frame and give it away and really make somebody's day. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and I will see you all next week.